the next installment or round or segment of our art journaling and mixed media getting started sessions. And tonight we're going to focus on line work. So, hello, friends. How are you doing? Hello, Loretta. How are you? I'll just make sure I'm live. How's the volume, the sound? Now that I'm using this handy dandy mic, I'm hoping that you find the quality of the audio better. Hello, how was your week? It only was Wednesday I was here. So for some of you might have been here with me for both. So hello, hi Connie, hi Daisy. How are you guys doing? How you doing? So as always, we're going to give everybody a chance to get on, catch up. Hi Karen, how are you? Hello Irene. Hello Carrie. Thank you. I know, and you guys must be like always all in black, but I do have Betty and Wilma on my shirt tonight, ladies' night. And guys are welcome too, but I threw this on because I was going to go do some lifting and stuff. So I'm like, it's a t-shirt kind of day. How you guys doing? How has your week been? I hope that it has been a decent week. That's all I hope for these days. I think it's a decent week is good, right? If I can channel a decent week, I feel like I'm winning. So yes, Angie's artwork was beautiful. You guys did some gorgeous, gorgeous samples. So this is what we worked on Wednesday. So maybe you're just joining us for the first time tonight. This is or whenever you're watching, if you're not watching live, a series that we've started is just kind of playing with mixed media and art journaling and however you're going to do it. I have a journal, so I'm probably going to start working in my journal as well. I'm doing loose sheets because I feel for the education side of it, this is much easier to do it in the loose sheets. So like I said, whatever you have is what you need to use. So this is that's our watercolor study, and this was our acrylic study from Wednesday. So we were playing with just doing some abstract art and art marking, mark making. So that was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Love where it went. And then the rest of the week, I'm going to play with different versions of this. So I decided to start with the kind of abstract to get you guys started, like the first kind of real application of technique. And now we're going to start doing kind of a shape study. So tonight is going to be about line work, and we're literally going to draw lines, thick lines, thin lines, repeated lines. You could do it monochromatically. You could do it with a 2-color. My color palette tonight is going to be cool. I think I'm going to do blues, green, and some purple. I feel like that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to use watercolor. I have my distress inks out as well. And maybe acrylic, maybe a mix of some of them. So maybe tonight, because it's Friday, and sometimes I go a little later on Friday because I know some of you guys don't have to get up tomorrow. So it's nice if you're doing live. Might do a mix. So I jimmy rigged, right? I jimmy rigged this whole setup tonight so that sorry, it's only taped with painter's tape. If you guys came and looked, I'm like, I am obviously not a MacGyver. I'm not a MacGyver, so sorry it's shaking. If it falls, it falls. I'll fix it. No, nothing has gone up yet because now there's lots of new things that I have to do with HTS codes and everything for the stupid tariff stuff. So it's coming. Like I said, my whole shop is organized, and now it's just a matter of getting the orders that you guys have placed out, which is happening tomorrow. I'm going over there to do that tomorrow. And then there are some Sweet Rush event kits. There are some Discover and Create, like 1 or 2 event kits, Christmas kits from Peppermint Kisses. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that we've gone through. I have the cruise kits, like all the different classes that I've done with a cruise kit. So I have the list to reach out to people to see if the ones who I'm going to go through the ones who express interest first are contacted. And then I'm going to be doing the whole sale in stages. But now I have to get it all into the shop it's just a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I have to do. So they're coming. We've been working on it. It's just going to take us a little while. Okay, so it's coming. A newsletter will go out before I post. You haven't missed anything. No one has missed anything. I haven't posted anything because now I have to work with the inventory, take some stuff down because some of it went into grab bags and such. But there will be tons of stencils, tools, punches. I have lots of different punches that are going to go up. And like I said, I'm going to do it, stagger it, because I feel like it's going to be so much stuff to post that you're gonna miss stuff. So I think if I do it in bite-sized pieces will be better. So I have not done it. That's why I shouldn't promise anything, because then the week is gone between phone calls and all the other things, because I wear a lot of hats, right? I wear a lot of hats, and I'm doing 2 lives a week now on top of product design and for 2 different things I've been working on, and life. Life gets in there, right? I'm trying to find that balance. So just happy to have you here tonight. We are going to be doing line work. I'm going to flip the camera and I'm going to talk to you guys about the direction I'm going to go in tonight, and you guys can decide. So we can do things that are just as simple as repeated pattern, because I feel like that is really good for slowing the brain down and just balancing out. So it's almost like exercises. So just repeated line work is a great thing in your art journal. Just repeating any pattern is a great thing, and we're going to visit that often in the series. The other thing that we can do is in switching up colors. So you can do the same thing. We can do things where it's literally how you're holding the paintbrush can alter. Like if you're doing line work and you turn your brush down the page, can give you kind of wiggly jiggly lines. We can do applications where we use white space and the open space on the page plus the painted area for art marking. We can do vertical lines, horizontal lines. You can do small strips. This is a great thing to do as well for color mixing. So we could do a whole page where it's just little strips of color, and maybe you lay out, let's say, like 6 yellow, 6 of the orange, 6 of the pink, 6 of the teal, and 6 of the blue, and then show when you layer in watercolor. So if I took that one and then I leave one yellow, but the one beside it, I can layer orange. I could layer orange and pink. I could layer just pink, and where you can do some color mixing in watercolor, I think could be a lot of fun. So many ways that you can use what we're going to do tonight. So we'll fit in whatever I can within the time frame that I'm going to be on here live before I poop out. And then I want you, like, I'm really hoping that it's not just one application. Even what we did on Wednesday can be multiple applications. You can switch out the colors. You can switch out how you're marking your page. You can switch out how much white space you use. Because I feel with all of this, the learning comes from repetition. Because you're going to discover new things every time you repeat something. And also, it's fun to see it in different color families. You could do it in monochromatics. You can do it with all the colors in the rainbow. You could do it with 2 colors, 3 colors. So this whole thing is not like one and done. This is really meant to be repeated, a lot of these things. And then at the end, you can add circles and lines. You can add abstract with lots of line work. Like, you can do lots of different things. So when I flip the camera, I'm going to go through your comments to make sure I haven't missed anything. I'm just really happy you guys are here with me tonight. We're going to have a good time. So I'm hoping you're finding it as well helpful that all of these lives are planned. Now, because this is a new thing for me, I haven't really been reminding everybody to be here. But we'll have to see how the numbers fluctuate. If I should remind everybody on the Thursday and then again on the Friday, I don't know. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Because already, like, the numbers are a little low for tonight. But maybe it's like line work didn't sound appealing. Who knows? Who knows, right? Who knows? And this whole thing of trying to get the people here to make art with us is always a strange thing. So welcome tonight. Don't forget, if you haven't already, to hit the thumbs up, the like button. And if you haven't already, to subscribe. And I really think this is worthwhile to start a playlist and start saving all of these into a Vicky Booten playlist, a mixed media playlist, art journaling playlist. So if you want to find some of your favorite videos, if one really appeals to you, you can find it in one spot, and it makes it way easier than trying to find it later. Okay, so let's do the things. Okay, I'm going to try not to, right? I still don't have overhead camera, but try not to flip everything the wrong way. So give me a second. Give me a sec, and we'll do the things. And I'm trying not to break my MacGyvered setup. So fingers crossed. All right, let's flip. Boop. And it's all fallen off. I thought I did a good job. Can you hear it? I'll fix it in a second. I just don't want to hang up on you guys, so give me a sec. Whoop. Sorry, friends. There we go. And put that back. Stick my painter's tape back on there. It's good. So did you guys respond? Is the volume is okay? Let me fix this now. Just a girl in her basement doing the things, right? So I hope that there's charm to the mess that I am. I hope you find it charming and not completely annoying. So it's all good. I do my best, right? I do my best. So what did I miss? If there are any comments. So I'm using my mic. So I think that is helpful in all of this, right? Natalie is posting. Natalie is my sidekick here. You'll see Natalie D'Souza on here, and she is posting lots of links. And can you please increase your audio? Does anybody else have an issue with the audio? Because my volume is up, I think. Tell me if you notice a difference. Okay, I'm going to play with this volume button. Now I'm really close to the mic. So I'm going to play with the volume button and tell me if this makes a difference. So is this louder or is it quieter? Tell me if this is louder or quieter. And tell me, now I'm going to test it here. Is this louder or quieter? Because this is, the volume's good. Okay, somebody had asked me to adjust the audio. So that's, I think it's good for everybody else, right? So I'm hoping that it's good for you guys. Hello, Melinda. She's back in Australia from her whirlwind travels. I hope that you're settling in at home. So how did it go? Did everybody play who's here? Did you play with this stuff on Wednesday? Have you done your swatching? Are you joining us for the first time? Are you planning to start playing soon? Or are you just hanging out? I just want to know. So that volume button didn't do anything. Okay, good to know. Okay. Oh, I'm very human. That's what I said. I'm very human. And I keep telling you guys that I have to stop promising things because I feel very stretched a lot of times, right? Doing a lot of different things. And then I always have the best intentions and it doesn't always work out the way I would like to. There is not enough hours in the day, in the week for sure. So no, not yet. Wednesday's work will be done this week. And I love that, right? We all have a plan of when we're going to attack it. I'm going to open my pop because it's soda time now, right? Hello from New Zealand. Hello, how you doing? You're moving your scrap room from your house to your new house. I love that, Alice. Hope that all goes well. I think Wednesday was a lot of fun. And I know Wednesday, with it being midweek, for a lot of people will do their catch-ups on the weekend, which is totally fine. Whatever works for you, right? But I really had a lot of fun, right? I really had a lot of fun on Wednesday with this. I think you guys will enjoy it. Just remember, white space is your friend. It's my takeaway from Wednesday, and know when to stop, because everything, it's like a supporting cast is always my line, right? That this is a whole musical or a production, and everything is has a role to play, and some things will take up more space, maybe be like headliners, and then some things are supporting casts, and you just really want to work with balance, because I know, here's one thing, and am I speaking to you? Let me know. So even when I challenge you and I say, let's go with a 2-color palette, people are like, I have to use the whole rainbow every time. And there's nothing wrong with the whole rainbow. But I think to understand balance and the importance of color, and that you can still get amazing results from doing something a little bit more simplified, there's nothing wrong with it. So I would just challenge you, if you are one of those people who love to put all the colors on the page all the time, nothing wrong with it. Keep doing it, but also challenge yourself to try to use colors you normally wouldn't, aren't in your wheelhouse, or aren't what you normally go to. One of the things we're going to take with this later, like we've done this whole series, is I want to revisit some of these for scrapbooking pages, or for traveler's notebook, or for a card, or even to do some of these techniques and then use our dies and die cut or stamp on it. But like I said, with the whole kind of concept behind this, is it's really hard, even for me, that to only use what my base toolkit was. And I did a whole video about what I was using, but I haven't listed it anywhere. And I'm going to work on that as well, is just give you a list of the tools, because I know some people don't want to go look for it. So it's just easier if I just have a list. And then I'm going to try to share it on all these videos. I'll just post what I'm using. Especially after I've used it, because then sometimes when we're in the moment, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to use, and I might switch things out. So I'll make sure to post after the video's done. But I really think, sure, could we pull a bunch of stamps out and stamp on this? We sure could. We sure could. But I'm challenging you to not do all the things. This one is to really just focus. Like for some of you tonight, it's going to kill you that we're just doing lines. And you're like, I don't really see the value or the purpose in the lines. Then that's okay. You don't have to ever do it again if you don't want to. But I think it's a steadying thing. For repeated pattern is important. And not everything has to be the whole enchilada, right? Does that make sense? So I don't know. It's soapbox moment, right? Soapbox moment. Not even soapbox moment, but one of those things to just kind of reiterate, or put the value back into the concept behind it, is a lot of people that are joining, or hopefully that are joining, have never done anything like this before. So it's really easy for us to pull out the big guns and show them all the things we've done if you've been art journaling forever. But I also see value in just simplifying it and back to the basics, and then having somewhere to go. It's always fun to have something to look forward to. So that's kind of a teachable moment. I think it is, right? I could, like, the next thing I want to do, the next step to this is collage. So I want to, when we go to the next round of what we're doing here, is collage. So that's kind of, there's a process. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. There's definitely a process, right? I said I wouldn't do the dot thing again, but I did it on my pages on Wednesday. I love that. And did you find that the result was different than from the other time when you said you didn't want to do it again? Just curious. Like, this to me is like, this whole conversation is really important. I want to know, like, did you enjoy it? The process on Wednesday. A lot of you gave me feedback. Like, a number of you tried different colored base or background, black, and weren't happy with the results that you got. But I said, don't throw it away, leave it aside. And there's things we can do. It can just be a different layer. I know that when Irene started on Wednesday, she used a craft background, but craft and watercolor, because they're transparent, is very hard. Like, you have to add something into, like a gouache, which is like a more opaque watercolor, would work better on black, but you're not going to get results on the black unless they have a binder in it that is more opaque. So some of these things, you're better off to just layer, like watercolor, regular distress ink, probably on a lighter background, right? But it could be manila. It could be manila if you have that, or it could be canvas. You could do different things, right? Or a gesso layer. You just have to make sure your watercolors, always test it, swatch it, and make sure it'll work. So any questions before we get started? I'm going to have a drink. It's pretty much my first time. I love that. Is it Jose? I love that you're giving it a try. And I don't care if you're making watercolor out of Crayola markers. Like, you can do all the things. You do not have to go out and spend a lot of money. if you really start enjoying this, you definitely can start adding to your creative toolbox, like better quality watercolor paper, better brushes, better quality watercolor, because that's one of those things that you're only going to learn through your own experiences with some of these things. When I say some watercolors that are more student grade are not going to give you the same results for like a tube of watercolor that you spend $25 on, right? What size paper are you using? Well, for me, because I just cut these and I wanted it to max out what I could get out of the papers I was using, mine are, I think, 7 by 9.5 is what I'm using, because I have 14 by 11 pages. And then the extras, when I cut it, I'm saving as kind of watercolor bookmarks. So I could do, I talked about this last week, on Wednesday, not last week, because I'm doing this twice a week, as watercolor bookmarks. So you could test your art marking on these, like have it beside. You could also kind of plan out your color palette on here. So these would be fun that you could just paper clip, because really right now is practice learning journal. And I'm going to also pull out my art journal. I just bought myself another one. I have about 7 of them. And I'm just going to start kind of playing. But yeah, you're new to this too. I love it. Any other questions before we get started? So for tonight, I wrote down, where did I put my notes? Because sometimes I have to organize my thoughts a bit, right? Because I could start rambling and now I got to figure out where I put it. Here it is. You've never done mixed media. I was intimidated, so this is perfect. I love to. Is this none of your business? It's none of your business. And it can mean a lot of mixed media, art journaling, all of it can mean a lot of different things. Some people will be doing this because that is how they want to express themselves, is just simply in an art journal. And maybe at some point you'll add words or quotes or different things. Some of you are doing this to practice for your scrapbook pages that you want to add and incorporate mixed media in. And this is a great way to kind of have a recipe book for different backgrounds you could use on your, if you document with photos and you like to create art with paper and photos and mixed media. This could also be great for my card makers out there. Really, there's no rules. There's no rules, right? It's just playing with all the things. So I'm just glad that you guys are here tonight. And Ranger has mixed media paper. Yes, there's mixed media paper. Ranger has some art journals by Diane Reevely. And I think Dina Wakely, there's still a few of them. Yes, she has a new Ledger one, which I've ordered. I'm just waiting on. So you do have lots of options. And then you can always go to the art stores or to Amazon and search any of the stuff. So you have lots of options out there, right? Lots of options out there. And as we play, we'll talk about a lot of different things. Okay, I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to pick my papers for tonight. I'm going to look at, so I want to do, I think one fun thing is like, so say you take one color of your watercolor, you could paint clear, like wet lines, and you could float the paint in and layer those in one color. So you could do a completely monochromatic, just using different shades and values of one color of paint. And I think that could be beautiful. And I find it's very relaxing, just the repetitiveness of it. We can do repeated lines in multiple colors. You could do kind of a value-based thing. I just forgot, what is that word? Help me with that. When it starts with an O, right? Is it O? Oh my goodness. See, Vicky has a lot of brain farts. It is, you know, if I go with like pinks to orange, what is that called? Ombre. You could do like an ombre kind of effect. You could do color bleeds, which is one of the ones that I want to do, where we're going to paint a stripe of one pigment and layer another watercolor over top. We can do ones where you put the watercolor down wet, you put the next color in, and the color on top can bleed in to the next one. So So many applications of this. The color mixing, I think, is a lot of fun. You can do the color mixing. No, you don't have to go back, Sharon. It's a whole kind of little session on its own. You can totally play along tonight, and it's totally fun. Totally fun and totally fine. So this is what we did on Wednesday, which was watercolor and art marking. I had a lot of fun with this. I found it very relaxing. I feel like I want to do this 12 times and get different effects, because you could do all of it, could just be this style. Your whole art journal could be a whole series of just doing different applications of this style of art, right? Question, Vicky, can you please explain floating watercolor ink when you demonstrate? Yes. Yes, I can. It has to be wet on wet, but the color will migrate into the other color, if that makes sense. And again, it does depend sometimes on the quality. Some watercolors will flow a lot and wick out and do amazing things, and you get a lot of graininess in it. These have limitations, these Winsor & Newton ones. I do a better quality, but because I told you I was going to stick to this, that'll be for another day. I won't pull my $120 palette of watercolor out, because I don't want you to feel like the only way you could do this is if you invested that amount of money. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like this is what I chose, and this is what we're going to use. And then there'll be opportunities where I'll show you the difference between different qualities of artist material. And that's just for another day, right? That's just for another day. So I'm going to pick my papers for tonight. I like masking. I like that. I like the edge around it. Do all of them have to be like that? No. You could totally fill your whole page, but for me, it's my jam. But you do whatever makes you happy, right? I do have better quality watercolor paper that I cut. So maybe I'm going to play with that tonight. So this one has a 25% cotton in it. So let's use a sheet of that. And a sheet of my original, the OG watercolor I was using, just to see the difference. I pulled out distress ink. Could you do any of this with distress ink? You sure could. You sure could, right? You're ready with your masking? I love it. So these are two different qualities of watercolor paper. Okay, this one does have cotton content in it. And this one, it does not. And I am going to mask, and we'll have 2 pages, because if I start with watercolor, I could work on 2 things kind of simultaneously if I wanted to, right? How you guys doing tonight? I hope you had a good week. I had a good week. I just don't know where it went. I don't know if I'm alone with that, right? I don't know where my week went. But I feel like I wasn't part of a lot of it. I'm like, how did that all go so freaking quick? I don't ever understand how we get to Friday so fast. I'm glad. And I get, right, for a lot of you too, if you're putting in a full work week, and sometimes you're happy for the week. With me, because I find all I do really is work, is sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, I still needed 3 more days this week. Like I said, Denise has been working feverishly, going through and sorting a whole bunch. We're going to do paper packs of older Vicky Boutin paper collections. Anything that I have left, I'm going to keep from my American Crafts collections. I'll have samples that I'll keep just for my stash, but I'm getting rid of tons of stuff. So there will eventually, when I can get around to all of it, and I have to stop for a couple of days to get it all in the computer, is that's what I'm working on. And then I have like Ranger stuff. I have just a ton of stuff. I'm doing a much smaller, well, I better not do it that small, a smaller frame on these. Because I feel like spring cleaning is a thing. Do you guys feel like that? Like I get into a place where I'm like, I need to get organized, and I need to edit. It's Pi Day. I don't have the symbol. Is it? Yes, it is. So this would be, friends of mine got married on, they were both science math teachers and they got married on Pi Day. So I will have to remember to wish them a happy anniversary. I took their wedding photos. You spent the other night trying to match my inks to the paints I have, struggling with letting go of perfection. It can be an issue. It can be an issue, but I feel like it's very freeing when you can finally accomplish it. Lisa, it's very freeing. I especially believe so creatively that there doesn't have to be rules to all of this other than just try it. That's my only rule that I put down. I'm like, just give it a try. You never know if you're going to like it if you don't give it a try. Time is going by way too fast, but I'm okay with it. It just means spring is coming. I agree with that, Ange. That we went for a drive because it was my dad's birthday yesterday. It's Riley's birthday on Monday. He's a St. Patty's Day baby. And in our area, there is a winery here called 13th Street Winery. And it is said that they have painter's tape. It's just a painter's tape. It is said that they have the world's best butter tarts. So I've had them before and they're very good. So I went to get them for my dad and I might have got one for myself and it was freaking delicious, right? Oh my goodness. They do something and Riley's, we went out with and got to meet Riley's girlfriend's parents. And I was saying that the butter tart, when you bit into the crust, had like a sugar crust, like you could hear it crack as you bit into it. And I'm like, that was phenomenal, like whatever they did. And she said they roll the flour out in a layer of sugar and a butter. Oh, that's a very Canadian thing. Butter tarts are a Canadian thing. So it is like a tart, like you make a pie, but in a tart, a smaller in a muffin tin. And the filling is like a caramel almost. So you take sugar and brown sugar and vanilla, and it's a French Canadian thing, I believe, is where butter tarts started, and sugar pie. It's sugar pie. It pretty much is. So you can do it with raisins. Bleh. Don't wreck my bleh. I really hate them with raisins. I think that's disgusting. Or walnuts, but I love it with pecans, and they do a whole bunch of different ones, but like a score one. So yes, it's called a butter tart, and it is, if you're ever in Canada, you have to, it's like pecan pie, but it's different. I don't know. And they rolled whatever, when you bit into the butter tart, it cracked like a candy apple because there was like a sugar layer on. I'm telling you, it was mind-blowing. Yeah, no raisins. Don't wreck. It's one of those things. Don't put that in my oatmeal cookie either if you make me oatmeal cookies, because I will black it. Blah. So you love them with raisins. You can have all my raisins. You can have all my raisins. It's delicious. It is a very delicious thing. So this is, let's see the difference. So this is the watercolor paper that has 25% cotton, and this is the synthetic one, which I still get great results out of. I just wanted to see the difference with the two. Okay. I'm glad that I'm not the only one, right? You need to try the butter tart liquor. I have, Angie. I have. Is that from, what is it? Because that distillery is right around here. It's close to us. And it's like a Bailey's Irish Cream, but it's in butter tart flavor. It is all kinds of magic. Do you like oatmeal cranberry cookies? Maybe. I like plain old oatmeal. I love an oatmeal cookie with really crunchy edges and not a lot of sugar in them, right? I don't like sweet stuff, so yay. So for our line work, I am going to do, this page is the one I'm going to start with, and we're just going to paint lines. What do you guys want to do? Do you want to do a vertical or horizontal line? So I'm going to tell you something. You see how I taped this down? But if I am going to do a vertical line, I'm going to end up turning my page because I won't be able to I don't want to hold my hand in an awkward angle. I would rather have it like this, so I don't have to torque my wrist. That's important when you're holding the brush, right? So this is the one I'm going to float color. So this is the one that I'm going to put my color down, and then I want it to float into the one underneath. Okay, so these are my 2 watercolor studies for tonight, and we'll do one more. I'm going to do 3 tonight, okay? Because I think that the lines will go pretty quickly, okay? So I'm going to turn my page because I'm going to start on this side, okay? And like I said, do you see what I'm saying? This on an angle will be easier for me to paint because I'll start on this side and I'm going to work my way across. So we could do this monochromatically. I could float just, there's so many things we could do here, friends. So I guess I just have to make a decision. I'm going to do this in blues and greens. So with that being said, I'm going to be using, for my blue, is Prussian blue. And I'm going to put it on the end. Okay. And then I am going to place my turquoise. And then I'm going to place my yellow because I only have a 5 color palette, right? So everything that I'm doing is with that palette, but if I want green, I'm going to have to make it. So that's going to be mixing yellow in here, right? Mixing some yellow in here. So with that being said, friends, we can do a wet on dry. We can do wet on wet. So wet on dry is just loading the paintbrush and painting on here. Wet on wet is painting a line in water and then floating the pigment in it. So I'm just going to do a combination. So I'm going to start with this one in, I'm going to go in my dark blue. And I'm going to do a couple lines just in the dark blue. And I'm going to do wet on wet. Thank you. Okay, so I was trying, because I'm trying to be a smart business person, right? Is that I really want to do share sale links because it costs you nothing. But if I was smart and I had time, I would put share sale links up. Well, who knows when I'm going to have time? I can't do all these things on my own. Like I would need people who do this for me or someone. So this I purchased on Amazon. I bought it in a set of 2. So that's where these came from. And my water cups were from Amazon. Even though I'm trying to slow my Amazon shopping down, when you're in a bind, right? Like everything, that's where I found it. So I'm going to try to find it and I'll put my links up because I do think it's worth adding to your creative toolbox. So with that being said, I'm going to paint. Right now I'm going to start with my number 8 round. You need a round brush to do these. And I am going to paint a line of water. So I'm going to start it. I'm not going to paint the whole page, but I'm just going to put a line of water. I'm going to load my paintbrush with a Prussian blue. And you're going to find that line of water. And this is what I'm talking about with wet on wet. And then you just drag that in there. Okay? And it will float into yours. So you're just kind of tapping your water in to that line. So I'm going to go in. The paint doesn't have to. You could pull it too. Pull what you have there into your wet on wet. And then you could float some more in there. Let that dry a bit. You can put more paint in some areas, right? Less paint, more water in others. So that's wet on wet. Okay, that's wet on wet. I could also go in here and I'm going to try to do a very thin line right beside it with wet on dry. So that just means no water is on there, right? I'm just painting that line, but I can also float it once that pigment's down. So I'm going to do a series of thick lines and thin lines. Could this be all super thin lines? It sure could. Could they be vertical lines? Sure could. You catch what you're picking up what I'm putting down, right? that it's whatever you want it to be. I find just this process is incredibly relaxing. So I can go in here and I can drop more pigment to darken some of these lines. Like these things could later be creating your own pattern paper, right? Maybe in your stash, you don't have a paper that completely matches what you're working on. Well, make your own, right? Make your own. So there we go. So the next one I'm going to do is another line I'm just going to paint. Yes, I'm using watercolor to start. Question, can you please show us closer up your palette? Looks like this. I bought a 2-pack. I will put a link to it, so I don't even care if it has Sherasil. I just haven't set it up for Amazon. And I love this. So I can have, when I'm working, I can have maybe put my cools in one side and my warm on the other side. So yeah, love it. But trying to be smart. You know, I provide lots of free content, and I just find that it would be smart if I did things that could help offset my time, right? Is instead of charging for everything, it's just, but who knows if that will ever happen, because I, you know, like I said, most days I'm just trying to get the stuff done, and it is what it is. So this one I'm going to paint wet, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to try to do one now that's like half of that width. And I'm going to paint the whole line down the page with whatever that first load of the brush was. Pull that color. Love it. So I'm going to paint another blue one, and I'm going to float green right into it, right? I'm going to float green right into it. And then I'll hold this up closer. But I am loving this process already. And that's what art journaling is all about. It's very hard if you're very project-based or project-driven, that sometimes it's hard to see what the value of doing this is. It's like, I don't understand the value of art journaling. For me, it is just something that feels good for quieting my mind. I think if you suffer from anxiety, that this can be a really good thing, a stress. If you want to do something creatively, you don't have a ton of time or a ton of space, that this is something that is great. The other thing that can be really awesome with this, I'm going to float a little bit more water because I want to add another color in here. The other thing that can be really great about this, I'm going to make green now, okay? So I'm going to put some of that yellow down there. I'm going to float the yellow right in here. Let's see, can I just blend the green? Right on my page. So what I'll do over top is put some blue on top of it, and I'm just blending the watercolor this time for this one. But I'm totally okay if I drag the color out on the side and see what we get. So it's kind of blue and yellowy green. Oh, digging it. Digging it. And I don't really think to art, everything, it has to be completely purposeful. I think some of it can just be done for just the joy of making. So I don't want this one to be too limey. I want this one to have a little bit more of a blue vibe, just as we build it across the page, right? Love it. Love it. I don't suffer from anxiety, just a full-time job that drains me sometimes. So it's good, right? To recharge your batteries, right? Why do you have 2 sheets? Just so I could mask everything at once. I'm going to do a different technique on this page. Very mermaidy. It is. It's fun, right? So my next one, I'm going to mix the blue in my yellow, and let's see if we can get a really nice limey green. And I'm going to go in with a pretty thin line of this, like we did the first one, okay? And you could work really hard at making these lines as straight as possible. You could make it like a bubble like that, bubble the line and drag it down. I'm going to show you a different technique on the next one, and I'm leaving that just like it is. I'm not even I love that. And sometimes when you do it, it's like, love that. I love how that one turned out. Just going to go with it. I'm going to add a little bit more blue for the next one and make that green a little bit deeper. It's a little bit foresty. And I think I'm going to do another thin one, because here's the other thing I was saying, that you could take your brush and you could turn it. Turn your brush to get kind of like little jigglies. But I like that. Dipping my brush down kind of flat, and it drops some color in, and then float a little bit more pigment in those spots too. And then pull it down. You could have a skip if you want, right, where the line breaks. There's just value in it. I do. I really do. And I know for some of you I have to convince you of that, because you might not really see tons of value in it, right? And then here's the other. Isn't that kind of the magic? If you don't see and it's not your jam, then you just don't do it. So this was the wet on wet one. No, this was where I laid the and put the second color on top, wasn't it? This was the wet on wet. So should we revisit another wet on wet? Let's try it. So your water doesn't have to be completely clean. You're just dragging it in to water I deposited. So I'm only going about a third in the page, and then I'm going to find that area and I'm going to drag that down, filling in that kind of where the water is. So see, it floats right in there and wicks out. You get that wicking effect. So we can float that in and get that wicking effect with the wet on wet. It just floats through the water. It's kind of fun. You could feed it from the bottom up, right? And see, you just tap it and it just wicks out because it's floating in that wet. And sometimes just stop messing with it. Like, I like what's happening here. I want to see what happens when that dries. So leave it alone, right? Is this one of the ways you design your papers? Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. I love just messing around. I do. I just love messing around with color. Color makes me happy. Color makes me happy. Pattern makes me happy. Layers make me happy. So, watercolor lines, definitely. Yeah. Some of my papers are like that, and it could be digitally created, or a lot of my papers come from my original artwork, but it could be where I go, I'm going to make like a palette like this so that we can totally make paper out of it. Yeah, sure. I'm going to take my turquoise now, and I'm going to mix that green that we just used. Let's see what color. I'm just going with what's in here. And I might put a little bit more yellow in it, but I want to clean my brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit more yellow and mix that in there. Let's see what that's going to look like on there. And then this one, we're just going to do a dry line. Pull the color down here. Feed it up from the bottom. I might float some of it in here too. because, right, you can do whatever you want, especially when it's art journaling. I don't feel bad at all if it doesn't turn out exactly what was in my head, the same thing that I kind of planned, because it's a tiny little piece of paper in my time. I am totally happy with whatever I end up getting. Who's playing along tonight? Like, look at that little technique. You could totally do vine with leaves on it. That's totally fun, just by flattening your brush out, holding your brush in different ways, right? I'm going to do this as like a double line for this one. See, just kind of a double line where it runs right down the side. And I'm not going to add any more pigment. I'm just going to let it bleed into that one. Fun. Fun, fun. Okay, I'm going to go turquoise. Just using that same brush, whatever was in there, mixing it in the turquoise. I'm going to do a fairly wide line here. And this one is dry, but I'm going to throw water in it. You could totally have a little white space. Like, I love that. Just those little open in there. So I'm going to leave it. I will. You're still swatching. I love it. I'll float a little bit more of that turquoise in there. I'm going to do now a full turquoise. In a thin line, I'm going to do 2 thin lines in that turquoise. And then I'm going to pull the navy again, that Prussian blue. Again, maybe we'll do 3 lines. We haven't done 3 thin lines, but let's mix. How about some Prussian blue into our turquoise? And this one I'm going to try to make as straight as I can. So do you notice too that my pinky finger sits as my fulcrum to anchor when I paint? Do you see that? Because if you just try to hold it and you don't have anything that steadies your hand. So see these things that I just kind of naturally do? I should probably explain, because maybe you didn't realize that. So when I'm holding my brush, my pinky is my fulcrum. Like, it's the resting spot, so that I have as much control as possible over my brush stroke. Do you guys do that? Is that something you use? If I wanted to go back to the blue, you could have a wood ruler and your hand could rest on that as a resting, as your fulcrum. Sign painters use that, right? When they're doing art, if you're doing a big canvas, you might have something like that. I'm just building that second layer up in that color too. I like that, those 3 layers. So the baby finger held out helps my wonky lines. Try it. Try it, Raquel. Look at that. And I didn't even think to say it, but that goes on my sheet or on my base, and my fingers are up here. So this works back and forth, but I have complete control because my pinky finger is taking the weight of that, right? So see, like, look, I have complete control, but I don't have if I'm painting like this, that's kind of scary, right? So if you've been finding like what I'm really having a hard time painting a straight line, you might need to make sure you have that down, that you can then move. You have full range of your hand, but that is your piece that kind of secures. Hope that helps. Some things that I just naturally do, I never think to kind of say, hey, and by the way, I'm doing this. So hopefully, or the whole base of my hand. Oops, look what I just did. But it's part of my art. My paintbrush was wet, and I just totally got crazy there. Wild and crazy gal. So this one, I'm kind of using the side of my paintbrush to give it a little bit of width. Well, if I was left-handed, I would have started from this side and out, right? Because I don't want to drag my hand, and you definitely have to find what's comfortable for you, right? You definitely do. That was a great question. Yeah, if you're left-handed, you would approach us differently. So the other thing we can do, clean my brush, because I want full blue. If you want to darken your lines up, is once they dry, that's the whole magic with watercolor. Control your water. My brush is very wet. I don't want all that. I just want a little bit more pigment. So I'm going across wet, so just be careful. Now I'm going kind of freestyling, but you could add some more pigment in there to deepen those lines and to add that kind of fun watercolor vibe. So if you did want to darken some of that up, you just go in over it again. But I would wait till the whole thing dries. But look at that wicking. I love that. That's watercolor. So I'm going to leave that. So I'm going to do now some of those blue lines. So go in with my Prussian and finish this guy off. Okay, so I want this one to be a little thicker. Start from the bottom up too. You could, and meet halfway. Meet me halfway, right on the borderline is where I want to wait for you. And then I'm going to do one thin line in that side. This one's finished. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. I want way more pigment for that last one. And just thin. So if I wanted really thin lines, I could also grab, like I just put way less pressure on there. So I'm really just using the tip of my brush. But I also could go with a number 6, right? You could go with a thinner round brush. You could use a detail brush, which is just when the bristles are really long and thin and narrow. So detail brush is usually like, so say I had painted a bunch of trees and I want to do the branches or thin details, or line work, like maybe I painted a boat, so all the boat is a wood boat and it has slats, so I want to drop the highlight and the shadow, then I would use like a really thin detail brush. There we go. Put some of those in there. Okay. I love it, and I feel like it's good. Like I could just leave it there. But you get what I'm saying, right? If I want to go in now and add detail in some of these, I could go in with just pigment and go in and add. It's wet, so just careful, because you don't want to put your arm on your page and now you're just kind of free flying because it's hovering right above. So that's what I'm saying. You don't have to rush into this part. Just wait. So that's why I'm going to stop. I just need to finish that line. Okay? But look at that, was fun. That's just one little art study. Now for this one, I'm going to be using the same color palette. I might put some purple in here, but we're going to use a bigger brush because I'm going to float more water in here. And I am going to do just kind of little rectangles of pigment that I'll float then into the next color. Okay, I want to make a purple on here, so I'm going to take some of the pink and I'm going to do it in here. Let's just see. I'm going to clean this out. So I'm going to put my rose. It's permanent rose. I'm going to pull some of that out. Okay. And I'm going to float some Prussian blue in there to make a purple. Want some more rose in there because I want that. Yeah, I like that color right there. Makes me happy. And if you follow me at all, you'll know I don't do a lot of purple. So I'm going to clean my brush because I'm going to pull yellow again, and I want clean water. Move that out because there's a lot of green on the one side that we made. And then let's put some yellow if we decide. Because you could, this one could have more pigment in it, whatever you want to do. Okay? I'm going to start with yellow, I think. How we doing out there? Load my brush. I'm going to start with yellow, and I'm going to paint this into just this kind of rectangle. Okay. This paper is the paper that has cotton in it, and there's way more texture on this paper. I think it's going to hold the water better. Okay, so we're going to have that. And from my yellow, I'm going to do a wet. I'm going to lay water down. Okay, so I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch space, and I'm laying some water down. And I'm going to now go in with my turquoise. And I'm going to put a layer of turquoise in there. But if I want that to touch, I could do that. Let's see, what if we paint like a whole section over top? Make this square a little bigger, and then we can maybe get a little green, right? And I could go on with a little bit more yellow. And float that in a little bit. Right? And then that is just pulling that green up into my yellow. My green is pulling into my, or yellow's pulling into my turquoise. Kind of digging that, and I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm going to go in now with my next color. And I think my next color is going to be, maybe I'll go in with this green I have right on here. If I have to make some more, I can, right? With some Prussian. Ooh, I love it. And then I'm going to do that in a rectangle. Like that. Paint some in there. And paint some Prussian. So you can have thick lines, you can have thin lines. Oh, look at that. Love it. How that paint is pulling in and wicking. Very fun. And now I'm going to go in with my purple. Hello, Janine. How are you, friend? So let's do our purple now. So if we go right into the Prussian and pull, that color will flow in there too. Just want to build up the depth. Very fun. That yellow really did feed in, didn't it? So are you guys, anybody playing along, are you doing? Anybody doing the 2 pages? Are you just still working on the one? Are you just hanging out, folding laundry? Right? I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to do a second layer. So I want to, once this is painted or dry, I want to revisit something you can do fun, that's fun with watercolor. So I'm just pulling some of that wet in. I want this to dry because I want to show you now when we go in with the second layer what can be fun there. And we can force that bleed into the purple, which could be fun. Okay, we'll walk away from that. So the other thing you can do as well with the watercolor is you can take the clean water and we could do some watermarking in this. I'm going to give it a blast quickly. You're doing 2 pages spread in your journal. I love it. So I am just making sure this is somewhat dry. Right? Not baking it like a cookie, but just taking some of the moisture out. It's pretty dry. I'm going to cheat a little bit on this side too. Only because I want to get as much done as we can. But it's fun too when you just let it do its own thing, right? So you could take clean water. This is yellow, but clean enough. And the other thing that you can do is go back through and you can lift the pigment. So you can go in with a drier brush and you could add like little polka dot pattern down your page. Because it's watercolor, so you could go in and then just create a little bit of pattern into your existing paint. So you don't want your brush to be too wet. And I will show you this in a second. So maybe I want to create, I'm going to put lines between them. So we're doing kind of our mark making with a wet brush. So just go in, start to move your pigment around, take your paper towel, remove it, and you can start taking away from the watercolor as well. So some of our art marking can be done by just lifting. Which can be fun. And also you can build depth, right? So I might do that in a couple of these. Can you see it? I know the camera's not really close, so let me lift this. So you can do, right, some lifting. And as it dries, you're gonna have like little white spots in there. And if you did want to go in with your pen and art mark, you could totally do that. And that's, can you see the texture on this watercolor paper? So this is a little bit more expensive watercolor than the artist grade. And you can really see where the watercolor pools and starts to build pattern, which we're going to go. I'm going to work on both of these a little bit, okay? Let's do it on this one, and I'm just going to kind of do it in the middle. Same deal. Your brush doesn't need to be super wet. And you can just build, I'll do circles on this one. You do little ovals, a squiggly, whatever you want. I could do where I go inside my line that already exists and just push the pigment out. It makes it kind of have a drop shadow. This one I'm going to do kind of looks like a bean pod. We'll lift just the pigment in long oval. Brush it off, lift it. So you just do that with clean water. And it's fun because you're just adding pattern in your existing pattern with water. It's almost to how you add white into watercolors with clean water and a clean brush, right? Is you lift it off. And you will notice too, the better quality your paper, it can take more friction. With inexpensive watercolor, careful, because you can, with too much friction, you could peel the paper where it just starts to tear. Because a wet technique and just adding that friction can lift the paper, right? That you separate the kind of press layers. So just be careful. But that's fun, just adding pattern in what's already existing, right? Do a few more on that one, and then I want to put another layer on top of our existing little ones that we were bleeding pattern into. How are we doing? Anybody who's playing along, how are you doing? Are you learning anything new as you're going along? Are you having any struggles with anything? Do you have any questions for me? What I'm here for. I like it, and I'm going to leave it. Maybe. Yes, leave it, Vicky. I'm going to leave it. How you doing, Joan? Oh no. Your blood pressure tanked and you fell and busted your head open 6 inches and fractured your hip? Oh my goodness. How you doing, friend? just fun and relaxing. I'm glad. I got my watercolor palette set up, but then dinner was ready. It's okay. It'll still be waiting for you, right? So I'm going to add a new layer onto some of these with the wider brush, which is a number 12 round. And I'm going to go in with this layer, and you don't have to apply it everywhere, but I like to apply it outside of my dark lines too, so that I can see kind of that transition of pigment. And you can layer another layer. You're not going to see much with the yellow. It's not going to show you much with the yellow. Dry my brush. I don't want too much in there. And now I got to remember what this was. I think that was turquoise, right? And I want to deepen up some of that. So I'm just going to go across with a line and just deepen up some of my turquoise. So I have just kind of those two shades of turquoise. And add some pigment in there. I'll tell you though, watercolor I find is one of the harder mediums to use. So if you're struggling a bit and not getting your results, don't feel bad. I feel like it takes a lot to master. I don't feel like I'm a great watercolorist. I kind of play, but I wouldn't say I feel like there's a learning curve. I guess that's what I'm saying. There's definitely a learning curve. And the quality of your paints matter, the type of brush, the amount of water you're using, all of that factors in to the results that you're going to get. But you can see now that I just created a lighter and a darker patch. Is my friend Natalie still here? I haven't really talked too much, Nat. And then I'm going to go in with my green, and I want to lime that green up a little bit. So I'm going to clean that, and I'm going to dip it in my yellow so I have a little bit cleaner brush. I'm going to pick up some of my blue, throw her in there, clean my brush, and grab some yellow. Take that water off, and grab some yellow, and get myself a nice limey color. Take some of my water out of my brush, the paint and the water, because I want to control this a little bit, right? And I'm going to go in with a wash over top in that limey yellow. We're done with the yellow there, so we can pick some more of that pigment up. And then just go across with a little wash of that limey yellow. Into our blue a little bit, and now go in. This is a bit challenging, but wouldn't have played with the without these. It is, but and that's the whole thing, Sharon, and I love that you admit it, right? Because it is. It's challenging for me, some of it, right? That I'm like trying to get like one effect, and maybe I can't get the exact effect I want, but the only way I'm going to achieve that is practice. That I know, like, okay, if I'm not getting the results that I want, how am I going to master it? I have to keep practicing and making notes of like, what did I struggle with? Do a little research sometimes, right? If it's like, that's where we kind of have magic set up, because we can go to the interwebs and find information on pretty much anything that we need to find. It's at your fingertips. So if you're like, how do I get my watercolor to wick? And you can go, and when you're doing your homework, that's one of the things that you can visit, is practicing one part of the technique. Just one part, right? So I'm coming back in, going outside my lines a little bit with that color wash, pulling into the blue, and totally digging that. Totally digging that. I want to go over my turquoise where all that yellow is one more time too. I don't know, like this is my jam. I totally love doing this because the other thing, I don't really have to have any plan when I sit down to do this. No plan required. I can just play with it. Oh, I love that. Look at, just pulled that green. Love it. And I'm going to leave it alone now. And then we can take, I'll dry it a little bit, and we can take our masking off. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? Do we want to leave these as is? Do we want to do any art marking on it? Mark making? Because it could be very subtle. Like on this one, I think I would just do some thin black lines. Like outline some things, but very thin. Here we could go and just do some white dots on it, random, just for a top layer. But I don't know if, could I go and do a bunch of stuff? I most certainly could. I could do whatever I want, right? But I'm thinking I'm just kind of loving it as a watercolor study. Yeah, put arrows if you want. I'm going to, for mine, it's going to be very subtle, okay? Because what I want is just to highlight what's already there. So I'm going to go in with a very thin black. And I'm going to take this off because, okay, this one, obviously, remember, pull your tape tight like this so you don't tear, especially this paper is very fibrous. This is great watercolor paper, I have to say. I will share the brand with, in the, see, that's lifting already. Heat it, right? Who taught me that last time? Question, will you be doing a second series of these classes? I'll be doing lots of things. And then one of the other things that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a whole class that is going to be a paid class, but a very, not an expensive class, like, I don't know, $50. And it'll be a whole month of tutorials, PDFs. So that's going to be coming. I really want to do a kind of the basics of mixed media. That really tore there, but whatever. Sometimes I don't care. So lots of different things are coming down the road. But I would definitely want to do a collage. I want to do where on Friday nights, it could just be like one art study, right? That we're doing a whole bunch of different things. So the heat works a little bit. For some, this paper is with the cotton in it. It's still going to lift a bit. And don't burn your fingers because that gets really spicy. Gets a little on the hot side, right? This one is masked, but I didn't go to the edges, so did it really matter? Not really. But at least then I didn't go outside. I had kind of a border. I love this page. I love the simplicity of that. And this paper is beautiful. You really get the wicking on it. You can see the layering of the watercolor. I think that's really pretty. Okay. This one I find, this tape comes right off this paper. Oh, I love it. I don't want to take it all off though. It should be okay when I draw. So what I'm going to do is just like, it's almost like doing like little shadow around some of the art that we did. So I'm going to go and very lightly add some pen lines to accent what is existing. So I am not pressing hard. I'm not drawing full circles. It's almost like dashed. And when I hold it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. Just add a little bit of pattern. I'm not going to do a lot of art marking on here. It's more highlighting those little white water lines. I am almost sure this pen is more on a dark gray than it is a black, which definitely has its place here because I don't really need the contrast of really dark. Did you guys finish your 2 pages? Any questions? Right. I feel like these are like beans. They look like peas in a pod. So I'm just doing like a double circle in these ones, kind of, just to switch it up a bit. And now you know I'm going to end up art marking more on this one than I intended. So I have this spot where the paint wicked out. So I'm just going to do some dashed lines in that. Let me hold it up for you guys to see. Who is doodling? Who is putting some art marks? Who's just leaving it? Are you digging what you have? You're just going to leave it? So I'm just doing some dashed lines in there. I did some little broken circles there, outlines. I might change that a little. I can hear Rich upstairs. He did not go to tennis tonight. He told me he was taking a break. There was a stock car race on he was watching. And I laugh because I can hear him up there because Simon will go up to him and be his friend, but then he'll bite him. And he talks in like cat baby voice, and I can hear him, "Are you biting me? Are you biting me?" Weirdo. Gotta love it. I'll taper these off because I don't want them to go all the way down the page. So I'm just going to taper that off. I love it. Okay, and some of these could literally just be, I'm going to do little lines in the open areas for the double one. Oh, I like that. I like it. This is bringing me joy. And right, I was kind of poo-pooing this idea, right? Hi, Denise. How are you? Yeah, it's a quieter night tonight. I wonder if people had lots of stuff going on. Because normally our Fridays have a little bit more. Right? Sometimes we've got stuff going on and it gets in the way of us making our art. Ooh, I really like that. So you could use as well, those lines between the art could be your white space, and you could do some different things in there. But I like that. See, in the broken space there? But there's no reason you couldn't do something between those two lines, right? Like making it like a space in there, which I might. I might do something in there. Maybe, ooh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do in this one. We're going to do circles almost like organic bubbles. So I'm going to build all in here, almost like little circles that I fill in down the, I got to put my glasses on. Who am I kidding? This is too tiny for me to see it. It's spring break in Texas. Yes, I forgot, right? So I'm going to build, see, little organic bubbles in there that Texas isn't the only place. I think that it's spring break here too. So your kids get older and you forget these kind of things, right? Not in a world where that kind of affects what we do anymore. But I did know that because Riley's girlfriend's still in school, and she was on spring break. So I did know that. So it's almost like cellular, like I'm putting cells in here with the little lines. And this pen is definitely like a charcoal, which is kind of fun because you aren't going to have huge contrast with your little art. I feel like it's a biology project. It's the outer lining of this cell. I need to put the mitochondria in here. Yeah, kind of digging that vibe. There's something to be said. I just find, I don't know, like this is, when people were doing the adult coloring book, like I feel like you have a little bit more control over here, but this is, like I said, I really feel, especially right now, I don't know with you guys, I need something that just gets my mind off of life sometimes. And I see value in doing a lot of this stuff. And I see, like I said, the learning part is making notes on your page, doing it multiple times, right, to get the effect that you want. But I very much think I lean towards loving the abstract version of this. We can do face painting if you want to do like some drawing down the road. We've done the flowers that we've drawn, the trees we've drawn have been very popular. We can revisit a lot of that stuff. I can show you some basics in. I did life drawing classes. I went to school for graphic design. I went to school for fine arts. And I found when I had kids and I was taking all those photos of these new babies, that scrapbooking, oh my goodness, filled this spot. Still does. I love it. I love photography. I love memory keeping. I'm looking at, and tell me what your interest would be. So how do you feel? Because a company reached out to me that I haven't responded to, but for art kind of vibe classes in Tuscany, that we could go for a week in Tuscany, and I'd like to do art journaling, travel journal. So that is, and I find that the pricing is not bad at all. Look at that. How fun is that? So using the negative space, right? Using the open white space. Totally digging that, friends. You know what else I'm going to do in between this one is full line. I'm going to take this and pull a black line right down the page. Oh, here he comes. Let's see if he comes to say hi to you guys, because he does like his people. Here he is.
You're not done the show?
No, I'm not done the show. We're having fun. I heard you talking to the cat up there.
Yeah, he was attacking me.
I heard him. Don't know attacking me. Say hi to your people.
Taking the night off.
Of saying hi?
No, yeah, it's a rest night.
Of being Sporty Spice? The athlete?
Gotta heal the...
Oh, I love this, friends. Thank you for pushing me. They're saying hi. He walked away. He's done with us. For pushing me to do the art marking on here. And there's really something to be said for like a charcoal color. It's supposed to be black, but it's very charcoal. Must be charcoal, and I just didn't read it when I ordered it. But totally digging this. So I'm going to tell you something. I'm not digging these. So I'm going to do little concentric circles in these. And we'll see. I don't know if I love that, but you know, it's a piece of paper, my time. We've talked about this, that some of the stuff you just let go. Just let it go. Let it go, let it go. Not everything you do is going to be a winner. And there's okay with that. I'm okay with that. There's okay with that. That's what I just said. Yeah. Whatever I was trying to say. This is so relaxing, and don't worry, I'm not taking a permanent break from scrapbooking. Don't forget, my new collection is going to be coming out in April. I'm not sure if Janina's here anymore. With 49 and Market, and we're going to be doing lots of stuff. I have a lot of travel and classes in April, so you're not going to see me a ton on here because it'd be awesome to be completely consistent with all of this, but it can be hard when I'm going to a trade show and I do some different travel stuff, right? Very fun. So I do think I want to add maybe that pattern again or something in the white. I don't know what it's going to be. What about this? What if we did where it's almost like a feather, you know, like just a V. Just build a V up the page. You could do a line down first and then just kind of put the V's up here. It really can be any repeated shape. Do you see there is this kind of I lost the word, what you would call that. Like this thread that goes through everything that we're doing in this series is a lot of repeated pattern. There's something to be said for that. And the line work I find is very relaxing. And the other thing I'd love to know is anybody out there who's doing this for the first time or kind of joined in just because you just do the things we're doing, are you finding more confidence in this? Or are you having better results than you thought you were going to have? I think that's important to discuss, especially for people who maybe are struggling or people are nervous to start, that there's value in sharing your successes and what you perceive as failures, but I don't really believe they're failures. I just think opportunity to learn, right? You can't fail at art. Just might not turn out the exact same way that you wanted it to. You like it better with the art marking? Well, it just adds a whole layer on top, right? But there's nothing wrong with doing this and just leaving it as painted pattern as well. I'm liking this, just V's. V for victory, V for Vicky. I just did V's and I turned my page around. So look at that. I like that. So just pick a pattern that you feel like you have enough control and you can do that. I'm going to do one more of the lines here and I'm going to step away because I feel like you need to know when to step away. I just feel like some of that needed a little bit more there. I do, because I've never really, well, we have done travel classes that are art journaling and a little bit of mixed media, but I feel like adding to my repertoire with the cruises to do some art-led classes and photography classes are going to be, like, when they reached out, I'm like, I think that I will definitely look into that, because it's small group, right? They're small group. And some of them we can do classes while we're there. And I also feel like there's value in doing stuff when we're home, right? Oh, I love that. I'm doing one more there because I like that filling it in just with a line. And this, look for a pen that is a charcoal ink, because you know what it looks like? It looks like a pencil. Looks like a pencil line, but I feel like, well, one, it's permanent. And I don't know, there's some value in that. Like, I just love that gray. And I'm going to step away. I love this page. Absolutely love this page. You need sneak peeks. I can't do the sneak peeks yet. They're coming. But not yet. I'm gonna. Don't you feel like I need to carry that a little bit in here? Maybe a little bit in the bottom there. I'm gonna do it right here. Love it. And I'll step away now. I would love to share, and you're going to love it. It's going to be good. I used to be afraid. Doing these types of exercises definitely helped. Also, hearing that is just a piece of paper and you could throw it away if you really don't like it, set you free. I love that. I love that. Okay. So this one, totally love. It could go in my book either way, right? I could put it in my book either way. These could go side by side. They can, whatever. This might never be in a book, or I might bind it. I might put it on the rings. I might not. Don't really care. I'm just enjoying the process, right? That section almost looks like you masked the strips and stamped with a script. I love that, right? I do. Digging it. This one, I'm only going in with white. What about if we just do white polka dots on here, but not everywhere? What if we just do a snake pattern like that of white dots? I'm saying what about, and you know I'm just going to do what I want because that's what I do. I'm going to go in with the thick one, the one, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because I think the white's going to make it like I'm taking the pigment away, right? And I'm going to do my Posca pen. You could do a gel pen. What time is it? This might be it for tonight, friends. And I'm going to show you quickly what I'm going to do as my base for my acrylic. And then I'm going to finish it off camera. But I'm thinking, like, what if you just do polka dots? Like a little polka dot pattern. That's kind of fun, right? And you could just do polka dot circles, or you could blend it like an S. I'm gonna start just kind of like little polka dot islands. And the only reason I say that I'm going to wrap it up for around 10 is I don't know. I'm having some fatigue lately. It's very odd, but I woke up this morning very early and I had to go back to sleep. And I was in bed later than I ever am. And you can let the Posca dry for your base layer. It's almost like you gessoed it. And then go and build the depth on top. Because it is soaking into the watercolor. Especially on this cotton paper. But you know, if you try to build wet on wet, you're just going to, you got to let that dry so it kind of seals the layer. And then you can go in and add whatever you want. Don't overwork it is what I'm saying, especially on the better quality paper, because you will start to pill it. Right? Whatever you want to do. You make this into a cake? That would be fun. And I know some of you out there might be like, yeah, I'm not doing this as a full book, but I'm going to do some of these techniques on a scrapbook page. You totally can, right? I'm just happy if you're trying the things. And in whatever form that you want to do it, you totally do that. Get that going again. Just pump the valve a little bit, right? So it releases the paint. I think it works better than trying to use like a totally dry marker. And I'm going off into the white too because I find it breaks that the edges up, right? It's like pulling from the base again, and I'm kind of digging it. I'm liking it off the edge. Kind of digging it off the edge. Kind of digging it, not going too small with my circles too. So what are your plans? Are you guys going to do some more studies with this? Are you going to do a little bit more art? Beyond what you're doing tonight? I know some of you, depending where you are in the world too, you might just be watching. You're like, I haven't even started this. I know my friend Karen, who I don't even know if she's here anymore, who takes care of little ones. Her creative time, if she gets it, is on the weekend, right? So I'm just curious, like what you're going to practice and play, what your takeaways are from this, and what you want to revisit. Kind of digging it, right? I'm going to walk away from it right now, though, right? Sometimes, right, I'm going to step away and decide after what I want to add to it. I love this one. Love this page, like so much. I don't think you fully understand. I'm going to do some tomorrow. I'll have to wait till my husband or your older kids can watch your 1-year-old so I can play. Yeah, because one is hard because sometimes it's nice. You could set your 1-year-old, right, or when they're a little older, up to play along with your not super expensive art supplies, but one is hard. I don't know if right yet a 1-year-old has that. A 4-year-old or 3-year-old maybe, right? But yeah, I hope you get a break. I hope you get a break. So I'm just going to leave that for now because there's lots of things we could do in here. I can come back and revisit these and do anything. I want to show you the other one thing I was talking about because in case you want to use your acrylics, okay? And then for real, that is going to be it for me tonight. So what papers do I have here? I think this is the mixed media one. Let's just go with the mixed media. I don't have to mask this because I'm going to do kind of those lines like we just did. The lines, but I want to leave open spaces in this one, okay? How do you feel? What if we mix watercolor and acrylic on this? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? This one could really, you could come in with some distress ink. I just got an idea. So here's my idea. I'm going to do with some of the remaining watercolor that I have here. Because this one could be, you could go with lots of colors if you want to on this. So I'm going to take just some of that purple and I'm going to do a little bit of a color wash right here. Oh, I'm totally leaving that. I'm totally leaving that. I'm not even touching that again. See that break? Oh, I love it. And I'm going to just leave it. I'm going to turn my page though, so if I get a break again, that it's going to look a little different. What other color do I want on here? Maybe the turquoise. So I don't care if my brush is a little dirty. Totally going with it. And I'm going to do another one like that. But I want it a little bit thicker. Oh, I love it. Just leave it. It's good. You want white space in here, okay? So when I go in with my acrylic, I want to leave some white spaces in here as well. I'm going to leave some white space. So what colors am I going to throw on here? I'm going to go crazy. For my people out there who are waiting for a little bit more color. And I'm going to pull some acrylic. My brush is a little wet, but we'll just go with it. And I think my pink band is going to go here. But I want to leave white, okay? I'm going to turn it because I like how that brush stroke kind of ended. There. Love it. Okay. This brand of paintbrush is, I don't even know. It's a 3/4 inch brush. I've had this brush for years and years and years. Long time. This one here. I don't even know. Some of mine are super expensive art brushes because they're from when I was in school. Some are cheap, $6. Not super cheap. They're not dollar store brushes, and I really stand behind that. Dollar store brushes will often, this is my saying, dollar store brushes will often give me dollar store results, right? Because just the type of fibers that are in them. I'm going to blend these two and see what color I get. So if you are really struggling, like you're like, I'm just not getting the results I want, it could be the quality of your brush. So the only thing I would use a cheaper brush for is if I'm like gluing something down, like I'm going to throw it away. It's often my brushes, right, are one and done. Do you have to go out and buy like a sable hair, squirrel hair brush that costs you $85? No. If you very much love painting and you're going to do a lot of it, I wouldn't say there's nothing wrong with spending that kind of money on a brush. You really do get different results for a better quality paintbrush, but you don't have to play along. You don't have to. So I'm going to turn my page around. I want to have a thinner open space there, right? A thinner space there. What color could I add right into what I have here to make a new color without having to clean my paint up? Let's see what happens when we add the turquoise to the Prussian blue and the rose that we have down here. So I'm going to just see by blending that in. Let's make a little bit of a darker blue, but it's still different enough that we can go and add it. I want some water in there. So my paint will spread a little bit better, and I'm going to do a fairly large block up here. And let's add a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to do a really thin one there. And I get, because that might be all that you can afford, right? It is one of those things. Look how pretty that little paint booger is. It will affect, it is the one thing that 100% will affect is the quality of your brushes, the kind of art that you can make. You know, some things it won't. It's not going to be that big of a deal. It will affect. Because a lot of them, right, little horsehair brushes, or they won't hold water the same way. Let's see, what are we going to get out of that? It's a little darker, but whatever. Going with it, because it's piece of paper my time. So I am still using the same brush, but I am going to go in and do a very thin line, almost close to the watercolor. Ooh, I like it. Do you see the little white that I left there? A little white. I'm going to do a couple of these. I'm going to do it down here too. That was a little wet. That was a little on the wet side. And I'm going to do one somewhere else just so it balances that green. Balances. So maybe it's going to be kind of over top of this existing. There. So now, you know how in the watercolor we use those white lines, right? I'm done with my painting, so I'm mixing my acrylics with my watercolor. Doesn't matter. Just clean those brushes so they don't get all gunked up, okay? I will do a better job so it's actually in clean water, but at least it's not full of acrylic. And then your idea with this one is we can totally go in and do a whole bunch of art marking over the painted areas and in the open spaces. You could go back through with another color of paint and you could paint lines like this. That could be fun. I could take some yellow if I wanted to, right? And you could do vertical and horizontal lines. I don't want to cook this. All right. It's still a little wet there. So I could take my paintbrush, a smaller one. Ooh, what about this one? Right? And if I wanted to, I could take, let's go in with a full-on Prussian, and I could go in and make little marks like this. I love that. Do we want those in two places? Or do something another color? Do thin ones? What about if we take that same color, but I'm going to use the side of my brush instead of it flat, right? Instead of it flat. So we'll go like this so I don't put my hand in the wet paint. And what about if we just take lines and do line? Oh, yes. So this can be your base, and you can certainly go in with your marker after, right? And add to. I love that. I'm going to put some yellow in here. I'm going to do something. I got to get this brush clean though. I love it. I love it. And I'm going to do yellow right across here, something with yellow. And maybe do we just, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do dashed lines right there. A dashed yellow line. So let's get some yellow. And let's do just dashes, yellow dashes. I'm going to make those bigger, like that. And then all of this can be art marked. Yeah, I'm digging the dashes. Look how fun is this, right? How fun is that? And that's all the painting I'm going to do on that page, and everything else is going to now be in art marks. This page is bringing me complete joy. It's all lines. It's all line work, just different line work, right? And yes, I'm painting right on a craft mat. It's a Ranger craft mat. I own many of them because when this dries, you could peel it off or you could take your paper towel and just wipe it. But I love my craft mat, and this is what I use as my paint palette, right? So if you take your paint while it's wet and wipe as much of it off with a dry paper towel before adding water, right? This is completely dry, and I find your cleanup is minimal if I don't reconstitute it with, see, look at all that. And that's acrylic that just all wiped up, right? And then you could come in with a baby wipe and clean it. But always clean dry and then pick up with a wet because it's non-porous. If I put water on it, I just make a big pool of paint. I'm super excited about this. And now I can totally go in and art mark on it if I want to. I was going to put stencils on here, but I'm trying not. I'm trying to be a purist to start. A purist. I don't want to start all of the other stuff yet. I'm being a purist. Can you? Yes, you can. I love that on this page is watercolor with the translucency, and then you have the opacity with the acrylic. I cannot wait to see what you guys make. Please do not forget, Natalie shared links to Vicky Booten Creative Community on Facebook. I would love to see what you're making. You guys have been posting, and I think it is helps inspire others to get started or to just make anything, right? to do the things, do the things, do the things. Okay, let's find a Posca. So even though this is lines, I am going to go in and put some circles, I think, in here too, okay? So I'm going to start at the bottom or the top, but I want just some circles right in here. So leaving, using that open white space. You know, it's kind of fun with this one. I feel like we did line work and we kind of pulled in the abstract from Wednesday in here too. Like, I feel like I want to make sure I fit. That's where I want it to end. And we can get one more in there. I love that. Could I do some other things inside of those? Sure, I could. Do whatever I want, right? Can do whatever you want. And then we could do, what other marks do I want to do? Remember, I had drawn marks on that page. Let's see. And some of these things, there's nothing wrong with leaving it and coming back to it, right? I want a thinner marker. Did I have a thinner Uniball? I'm trying to find a thinner black. And I cannot find it. I haven't opened that one yet. This might be a revisit later. Oh, we'll use this one. So I'm going to go back to my kind of fish scale. Okay, so I want to do the half circle, vibe like this. So I do love that this is pulling in our Wednesday and our lesson from today, the linear. I don't talk as much when we do these either because I'm concentrating. Just going to do those. Could I add more in those? I could add more to those circles as well, right? And you know I love these little drag things. So I want dashes in there. I love this. I love to fill this with, I'm going to fill this one with dashes, like little lines. That's why when I said, when we were pulling the paint and we got those little lines, I'm like, don't stop, stop. Don't keep working it, because it's fun to just fill those open spaces, right? And we can do that as well in this paint. You could do it down here. But you see where I'm going with this one, because I'm going to finish this. I'll share what my finished, for sure I want to add more layers in these circles. I think there's something to be said for fine line work. So even your mark making is line work, right? Even this is line work. It's thin line work. It is good for your motor skills, your fine motor skills. I think that people might find a lot of this stuff that aren't even followers because they know me as a scrapbooker, that I do other things. And you could teach. Maybe you do classes for seniors, and you could do different versions of this, right? adult classes, kids classes. You might be an art teacher. Maybe you're a student teacher and you're looking for something. A lot of this you could do. I feel like I said, let's grow this community. Keep coming back, visiting, sharing what you're making. There's value in all of this. And if you've just happened to find me on the interwebs, I try to do lives all the time. This series is on Wednesdays for the month of March 2025 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to visit lots of different repeated patterns. This whole thing came about because some of these people here watching have followed me for many moons. I've been doing lives for a long time. Some are paper crafting, a lot of mixed media. And I really felt like there was a need for community because I'm finding social media too that we used to connect a lot on Facebook and on Instagram, but I'm finding the reach, just people aren't seeing my stuff. And I feel like I miss the chatter and the community. And doing these lives, even though I can't see the comments as much because I'm focused here, I think it's important that you don't need to even be talking to me, but you can be speaking to each other and answering each other's questions. And I think there's a place for it. I think a lot of us are home sometimes by ourselves and it's lonely. And I think connecting through art is super special, right? Super special. So I love that. That is kind of a continuation. Do you need to cover everything? No. I'm going to do my black stuff and then for sure I'm going to get in. You know, I like my fine lines. So because this is a line work focus, let's do like we did on the other one. What happens when we just do some super tight fine lines? Do you need a ruler? No. Remember Natalie was saying that it drives her crazy. She'd need a ruler. Well, that would be my challenge to Natalie. I'm like, no, just do freehand. Try it. But do you notice how I start at the top and pull it towards me? I turn my paper sideways. Because I find I can control it better that way. Oh, I like that. I like that. And now do you feel like I've balanced out the black that I can totally go in and do some stuff with white? No ruler, Natalie. I would break you. If you were hanging out with me, I would steal your ruler and I'd say absolutely not. No rulers allowed. But I love this. I love this. And then we can go in obviously with white if you wanted to, especially on your acrylics. Like I might do some white here and here. I'll show you quickly before we go just what the white would look like on here. And I'm going to do line work because that's our focus tonight. No, you remember, Jolene, all of you guys, there's no ruler on this because this is the whole thing of doing something different than what we normally would do, is going in without the ruler. Because we're going to stretch our art by doing things that are outside our comfort zone, because there's value in that. I love art marking. See, just some little dash white lines. And I probably will carry them across quite a bit of this. But I'll flip it now because I don't want to put my hand in wet paint. And also with the style of this, I think there's charm without the ruler. You don't really want super straight lines in all of this because a lot of this is such loose art that there's value in stepping outside of our comfort zone. And you make me laugh. Ruler. And I say, no, ruler. I love it. I love it. You could do hearts. You could do diamonds. You could do X's, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to leave this for now. But look at just tonight. That was a lot of fun. And they all are different. Similar and different, right? Similar and different. I love the watercolor base on this. I'm not super sure on the circles. Like for me, just knowing me, I don't think I can leave those just white. I think I'm going to go like we've done before. And I'm going to add a little bit of black on some of them like this. Because I feel like it doesn't feel finished to me. And I'll show you. If I go through and do some of that, that feels finished to me now. Like I feel like I need light and shadow on there. So I'm totally going to do that. I could have done that with hot pink too. It doesn't have to be black. I just feel like the layer, the circles need finish. So I'm going to do that. But I absolutely love this one. I'm telling you, there's something to be said in just freaking throwing some paint on a page like this. I think would be a beautiful pattern paper. Like you might end up seeing this at some point. This kind of thing, I'll continue it and do something different, but in a pattern paper, I think would be awesome. I love this too, as a base for a layout, but base for a card, and just put a big sentiment on it. There is value in doing things that stretch our creativity. So let me flip the camera around and say a proper see you later. And I cannot wait to see what you make. It's line work. There are so many directions we could go with this, that you could make some beautiful, 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 beautiful patterns. So let me Blair Witch you for a second with my Jimmy rigged setup here. So just a second, it's all gonna fall. It's all gonna fall. I unhook you. I'll show you a close up. Eek! Try not to hang up the phone. I can unplug. Okay, the volume's gonna, oh, I better not unplug it. I don't know what'll happen. But here's closer look. Look at that. Look at that. All right, very fun. This other one we just did with a mix of paints. I love it. I'm gonna flip the camera and try to cover it so you don't see up my nose. Hi, hi. That was fun. I love it. Oops. If you're watching after the fact, don't forget thumbs up. Leave a comment in the regular comment section. If you have any questions, let me know. But I had a lot of fun. I really thoroughly enjoy 2 chains. See, gotta put them away so you guys don't think I'm trying to be a rapper or Mr. T, but they're my mom's, and I just feel like she's close to my heart. She visited me in my dream last night too, and that was really awesome. In my dream, I woke up from a dream, but I was still dreaming, and my mom was there, and that was really awesome. So I feel like she came to see me yesterday or this morning, because it's when I fell back to sleep at 5 after the cat woke me up. But right, she's here with me always, as are you guys that show up and support all of this. I thoroughly appreciate all of it. Like you make my heart happy, and making this kind of art makes my heart happy, and showing your bravery and trying new things and doing the things and sharing it and sharing your experiences with our community is golden. So keep doing it. Can't wait to see what you make. Don't forget, the Vicky Booten Creative community on Facebook is where it's at. Come and share what you're making. And I'll be back on Wednesday, and for sure over the weekend I'm going to make a couple more and add to all of the things. So that was a lot of fun. Thanks, Natalie, for helping the crew here, and thanks guys for spending another Friday night with me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hope you have a fabulous weekend, and I'll see you guys later. Bye guys.